You know how when you get sick, you can get that kind of head fog that just makes you generally stupider and dumber and less focused? So as it turns out, I ended up getting sick shortly after I came back to YouTube, and when I'm healthy, I still have a lot of really dumb video ideas, but I have that mental filter that can identify dumb ideas and just disregard them. But when I'm sick, I'm almost more driven to pursue those ideas. Such as today's video, which I think is a kind of interesting and fun idea to explore, but it's a bad idea because inevitably this video is going to involve me saying various forms of the phrase, hitting women. I don't monetize my videos, but even if I did, I certainly wouldn't be monetizing this one anymore. So over the past year and a half or so, one of the big joys of my life has been getting into the Yakuza series. I'm about 4 games into it. I have loved all of them. And as video game culture on the internet has trained me to do, when I find a new video game love, I almost immediately begin asking myself the question, how likely is it that this thing is going to get into Smash Brothers one day? And I'm sure a lot of you already know, but the creator of the Yakuza series, I believe he's the creator, the former director maybe, he's not with the series anymore, has some thoughts on Kiryu getting into Smash. I'm quoting a translation of him here. We get a lot of requests for that, of course. There are expectations, but fighting games usually have female characters, and I personally don't really want to see Kiryu hit women. And personally, I'm totally fine with that. I have no problem with them wanting to uphold this specific image. But what I find funny about this isn't the insinuation that Kiryu doesn't hit women, but rather the insinuation that this roster of characters featuring mostly squeaky clean Nintendo family-friendly characters would. So let's go down the list and see if any of the 80 to 100-ish characters in this game can match Kiryu's level of chivalry. Obviously, we're not counting the character's appearance in Smash itself, that wouldn't be any fun, and all a character has to do to qualify is at some point in any appearance they've made, they attack a human woman, a female of the same species as them, or just any general female character of relatively the same sentience as a human. I guess if we're holding them to Kiryu's standards, you are allowed to hit female children? If you've been around my channel for a while, you might remember that when I do these kinds of things, I don't like going in the typical Smash character order. I think that's boring. So this time, I thought I would go in order of the location the character is originally from and how close that location is to me and my home, the state of Pennsylvania. Which, now that I think about it, means we're starting with Mario regardless, because he is from New York, which is just one state north of me. Mario has engaged in multiple forms of martial arts, fighting against female combatants in the Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games series, I believe Taekwondo and Karate at least. So that means not only Mario is willing, but anyone on the roster of Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games also will, including Sonic himself. And then anyone on the Mario roster who isn't accounted for in those games is accounted for in Mario Kart. That brings in the Koopalings, Piranha Plant, Diddy Kong. Shoot, that also brings in Rob, Link, Inkling, Villager and Isabelle, and Pac-Man, so that's like 15% of the entire Smash roster, and just because we knocked out the first 2 Donkey Kong characters already, King K. Rool shoots Dixie Kong in Donkey Kong Country 2, then staying in Brooklyn we have Little Mac who only fights male boxers in Punch-Out, and Doc has this whole line about how Mac needs to keep fighting in the ring, he doesn't want to see Mac become a bully outside of boxing. It remains to be seen if a female joined Mac's boxing league, if he'd be willing to punch her, but it is important to note that Princess Peach was considered to be an opponent in Punch-Out for the Wii, but they ditched that idea specifically because they didn't like the idea of Little Mac knocking out a woman. So congratulations, we have our first Smash character that can match Kiryu. Good job, Little Mac. Now, we don't know where Southtown in the Fatal Fury series is located exactly, but we know it's in America. It feels very East Coast to me, and it's generally assumed that it takes place in Florida, which would make it the next closest to me. And Terry Bogard, unfortunately, at least we're fighting games, so he can punch any girl on the roster, but there's actually a pretty infamous video of Terry going and, well, yeah, I'll just show it to you. Which brings us to, I think, the final fighter on the Smash roster that lives in a confirmed specific state in the United States, that being Solid Snake, who spent much of his childhood in Oregon, I'm pretty sure. And yeah, Snake has had plenty of female adversaries in his time. So now we're moving into characters that are just generally vaguely from America, even if we don't know specifically where, although actually, Ken Masters, you could very easily argue he's actually from Japan, but he was the American representative in Street Fighter II, and unfortunately, the most well-known and iconic thing Ken Masters has ever done is brutally and savagely knock out a woman. A woman that Ryu has fought plenty of times himself, as long as we're talking about Street Fighter. Ness is not from America, but it's very well known that O-Net, Ness's home, is definitely an allegory for America, or a representation of America. I was pretty sure, I was like, I can't remember a single time Ness fights a girl that entire game, and I was about to be really proud of him, but I checked the wiki just to make sure, and unfortunately Ness does fight an enemy named the Cranky Lady. He was so close. I have not played Mother 3, and I wasn't really super keen on spoiling myself for this video, so I just went on to the enemies wiki for Mother 3, and I just Controlled F for various female identifying words and stumbled across a Mrs. Lava. I did not find any evidence of the Cranky Lady or any other female characters. There were no characters that appeared to like present female on that wiki. It wasn't a perfectly studied science, and I don't know if Mrs. Lava counts as sentient. She's just a lava blob. There's a lot of characters in Earthbound who really, it's so hard to describe what they are. So Ness is definitely problematic. Lucas, we're going to stick him in the probably column. That is every Smash character I think that has roots in America, so now we're going over to Europe. The fictional city where Bayonetta takes place is largely inspired by Spain. Bayonetta has a female rival that she frequently fights. Then we go to a little more Eastern Europe where we get to Wallachia. Is that how you say it? Simon Belmont's fought Medusa at least once, and Victor Selmont fought her in Rondo. So do you remember the beginning of the video when I was talking about how your brain kind of gets messed up when you're sick and it makes you dumber? I mispronounce words a lot more, I forget things a lot more, I just say incorrect things a lot more, and weirdly I break out into song a lot more. I don't know how to explain that one. Richter Belmont, you might not be familiar, that's his actual name, also fought Medusa in at least Rondo of Blood. Ugh, Persona. Okay. We're on Joker now. It's always hard talking about these things for Joker because everything he does takes place in like weirdo fake land. So like, yeah, he definitely attacks and kills female characters in the metaverse, but they're not real. But they're real, they're actually there, and they're sentient in some way, shape, or form, but they're just like a manifestation of other sentient beings. And like, would Joker do the same thing in the real world to real females? I don't think he would, but at the same time, you can shape Joker. He's like a self-insert protagonist, so you can do whatever you want with him, but I don't think you ever get the option to like physically strike a female. So I don't know why I'm spending so much time on it. He's clearly going in the complicated tier with Lucas. Okay. It looks like things get easier after this. We're on to Tekken. Kazuya Mishima, definitely. Arms Min Min, definitely. The Ice Climbers, no. Rampant animal abuse. Game & Watch, not that I know of, and now we're on to characters that just, with the Ice Climbers and Game & Watch, they're just generally Earth-based characters. Duck Hunt, not the dog, not the duck, but the Zapper. Is it just the Duck Hunt Zapper? Because he's just shooting ducks, although the sentience of those ducks now that they're in Smash is in question. He shoots people in Wild Gun. What games does the Zapper use? Okay, I don't see any Zapper games where you're like directly shooting female humans, so it's really just the duck. Which I'm not going to call them sentient even if they appear in Smash. The Zapper's safe. I thought you were going to be complicated, Duck Hunt, but I think you're actually safe. The Wii Fit Trainer, no, unless like aggressive massage counts, she'd probably do that. So now we're at characters that are from Earth, but not necessarily Earth in our time. Samus was originally from Earth. I don't know if I ever fully knew that, but definitely. Even if you don't want to count Mother Brain, there's a female bounty hunter in Metroid Prime 3. Dark Samus fights Samus, so that's easy. And Ridley. I think we're gonna put Ridley in his own Ridley tier. Ridley's in Ridley tier. Captain Falcon can like ram into female drivers and like shove them off to the side, and which like drains their power. That's very loose. Tempted to say it's complicated. I'm not counting the anime, by the way. Like, I guess if Mario Kart counts. I mean, it's certainly worse than Kiryu's ever done, so yeah, Captain Falcon does. Now, Mega Man gets pretty close in his own series if they just didn't make Splash Woman, and he is in Marvel vs. Capcom, so that doesn't help him. We're moving on to the Earth surrogate category. These are not characters from Earth, but from like a representation of like basically an Earth-like planet. Pit fights Palutena, Dark Pit fights Pandoria, and Palutena I don't think actually ever directly fights anyone except for when she's mind controlled. But the fact that Pit is basically her attack dog and she's willing to sick Pit on anyone that's an enemy of hers, I'm still gonna put her in the yes column. Are you still charged with murder if you hire a hitman to do it for you? I'm gonna stand up because I'm getting really hot. And we're about to take a large amount of the players off the board by talking about Pokemon. Every Pokemon that's an actual animal can fight females of its own species, so that counts. Red, though, or the Pokemon trainer, I should say. I don't think Pokemon trainer, the human, has ever done anything. In fact, I just said that Palutena counts because she sicks her minion on other females, and Pokemon trainer does that too, but in the beginning, what I say the rules were, you have to either attack a human female, a female of your same species, or a female that generally carries the same level of sentience as a human. So even though Pokemon trainer makes his Pokemon attack female Pokemon, that's not attacking a female of the same species as the Pokemon trainer, and Pokemon are not sentient on the same level as humans. So yeah, I think Pokemon trainer is perfectly safe. We got the Miis, who have Mii boxing and Mii sword fighting, and Minecraft, which has PvP, so hit whoever you want. Okay, we are off the Earth, and we're on to characters that just presumably take place generally in the Milky Way galaxy, starting with Kirby. Kirby's star allies, Kirby, Meta Knight, and DDD, can all attack those magic elementy sister girls. And now I think we're on to the one that I know the least about. Star Fox. There's a battle mode! Star Fox Assault. Fox, Falco, and Wolf can all shoot crystalline, and I didn't know that until I was double checking myself in editing. Which is good, because in the original cut I was about to say that Falco is safe, which felt so wrong. We all know that Falco totally would. Okay, I don't even want to have the discussion of where Xenoblade takes place, but this is where I've decided to put it, and you're gonna be okay with that. Shulk, Pyra, and Mithra have definitely, yeah, they definitely have. And I think that means we're on to just pure Fantasyland characters, yeah, just absolutely no relation to our actual reality at all. Zelda has Hyrule Warriors, so they're all out. In fact, Ganondorf is probably in Ridley tier. And Fire Emblem has Fire Emblem Warriors, which doesn't include everyone from Smash, but even so, the Fire Emblem characters are low-key some of the most brutal and savage killers on the Smash roster. For Final Fantasy, Cloud, yeah, and he's been in fighting games before. Sephiroth, Ridley tier. We'll throw Sora in here because I have no idea where that guy's from. And I haven't played the Kingdom Hearts games, but there's like 12 of them, and there's Disney characters. I mean, there's no way he hasn't punched like Ursula or Maleficent at some point, right? In Dragon Quest XI Fights Jade, which brings us to our final entry on this list, Banjo and Kazooie. You could argue Banjo frequently assaults Kazooie, but even without that, the main antagonist of that series is a woman. And that's it. That is every character on the Smash roster. How did I forget to talk about Olimar? I love Pikmin. Unfortunately, you can throw your partners in that game, one of which is a girl, and you can throw her, like, right into fire if you want. That does count as attacking, so I think Olimar is safe. But since Alf has a female partner, Alf's gotta be out. Okay, now for some stats.